This video is about exponential growth and decay. Here is our initial exponential growth and decay equation. It is y equals a times b to the x power, where a is the starting amount, that's given in the story problem, b is the growth or decay factor, and then x is the exponent, which usually is over an interval of time. The important thing we need to know is our growth factor is 100 plus whatever the percent is given, and then you change it to a decimal. The decay factor is 100% minus the percent that is given. The biggest thing we need to know is that your b value must be a decimal. That is one of the most important things we need to know. I'm going to highlight that. It's got to be a decimal. So there's a couple different strategies to change percents to a decimal. You can divide it by 100. You can put it in your calculator by 100, or use the percent button on there. You can also move it to the left. Let's look at an example. Chipotle stores are growing at a rate of 30.5% per month. Currently there are 25,000 stores. How many stores will there be in 10 months? I got to find my initial amount. My initial amount is never in our problems going to be a percent. It's always going to be a whole number. So I've got 25,000 stores that I can put in as my A amount. That's my A value. My B value is my percent. Now I put in my percent. My percent is 30.5. So I got to do 100 plus 30.5%. That gets me 130.5%. Now the big thing I have to do is I got to be able to change that to a decimal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to 130.5 and I'm going to divide that by 100 to get my decimal. That gives me 1.305 as my decimal. That is my true B value. So from there I've got to kind of plug everything in my y equals a times b to the x power. If I can just plug in the numbers into the right spots, I should be able to get my answers. So my A value is 25,000. I'm going to multiply that by 1.305. And the power I'm going to raise it to is what is happening over time. So this is per month. It says how many stores will there be in 10 months. So 10 is going to be my exponent. I'm going to type all that into my calculator. 25,000 times 1.305 to the 10th power. And that gives me roughly 358,133 stores. So my answer to this would be, let's say 358,133. Now it's important to be able to do this exchange between 130.5% and making that a decimal. Remember, your exponent is just an interval of time. So this is a exponential growth question. Here's an example of an exponential decay equation. A nuclear reactor has 100,000 units of radiation. If it's decaying at a rate of 8% per year, after 20 years, how many units would be left? It's still our same A times B to the X power. That's still what we are looking for. It's just different numbers, and our B value has to be different. I'll make my exponent here. So my initial amount is something I can find. It's a whole number for me here. It's 100,000. If you look, the decay factor says 100% minus the percent, which is 8%. So I do 100 minus 8%. 100% minus 8% gets me 92. Then if I wanted to change 92% to a decimal, I'm going to do 92 divided by 100. That gives me 0.92 as my decimal. I would use my A and B, so I would do 100,000 times 0.92, and then the exponent I need is the number of years. So this is per year, and it says after 20 years. My exponent then would be 20. I would take that value and I would type it in my calculator. 100,000 times 0.92 to the 20th power gives me 18,869. So that gives me my final answer of 18,869 units would be left. Use this to help you with our growth and decay. And the really important thing to remember is that our exponent can change if it's over a period of time. Let's say this happened per year and it was in 20 years. Let's say a nuclear reactor has this radiation in 1990, and it asked you, how many units would be left in 1997. If it asked you that, then you would have to change your exponent to be 7, because it's how many years after the time that was asked. If it asks you that, then you would have to change this 20 to be 7, and it would change your value. So hopefully this is helpful. It will get you through exponential growth and decay.